No one is ever going to hurt me again. I think that we can be tempted to say that, to think that, to believe that we're in control of our lives. And I get its allure and I get its appeal. I definitely have times in my life where I think, you know what, this is too much, I can't handle it. I don't want to feel this anymore. The thing is, living living in relationship means that there is heartache, there is pain, which is wildly odd. And we think like, oh, I just need to find the right person, and then, they'll be with me and I won't get hurt again. And then I think we get frustrated because we can't find that, because everyone disappoints us somehow. Everyone lets us down somewhere. Even the best of people at some point are going to unintentionally harm us. And what we do with that matters. Now, I completely empathize and understand why those who have been assaulted, why those who have been treated just awfully, why they would say that. Because when you're so hurt and when you are just facing a sea of dark pain because you've been treated so horrific, I completely understand why you would say it. Why you would think, like, no one's ever going to hurt me again. I'm going to make sure that it doesn't happen. But dying is not the answer. Living is hard. Living is so hard sometimes. But how brave and courageous to fight through. Some of you might feel like you don't have the strength to fight through, and I understand that. I have been in some of those places, and sometimes the brave thing is just to wake up the next morning. Sometimes the courageous thing is just to go to school one more time, or work one more time, or try to reach out to somebody one more time. The process of healing and of getting help when you've been damaged, when you might feel ruined, you might feel like there's no recovery. Like, finding help in those moments, gosh, that is awful. That's hard. It takes an incredible amount of strength to do that. And you might feel like you're out of strength, but I'm here to tell you, you can borrow mine for a little bit. Like, I am pleading with you to keep going, to keep leaning in to an answer, to keep fighting for yourself. You're worth finding the resolution that you're looking for. And it's going to be a journey, and it is not going to be quick and easy. I will not sit here and lie to you. I just see so many of you that are out there that are feeling weak, that are feeling like you can't make it, but you do anyway. And every single day you grit through and you go out there and you live and you keep trying. There's a quote that the author C.S. Lewis, any of you ever watched The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe? So he not only wrote children's stories and you told these great tales that are now movies and stuff like that, but he talked about love and how we often get hurt by love and we can be tempted to close off. There's a pretty famous quote, and I'm going to read it to you. And it says, "To love at all is to be vulnerable. Love anything and your heart will be wrung and possibly broken. If you want to make sure of keeping it intact, you must give it to no one, not even an animal. Wrap it carefully round with hobbies and little luxuries. Avoid all entanglements. Lock it up safe in the casket or coffin of your selfishness. But in that casket, safe, dark, motionless, airless, it will change. It will not be broken. It will become unbreakable, impenetrable, irredeemable. To love at all is to be vulnerable." You see, the thing is, when we're in relationships and when we give pieces of our heart, even to an animal, it's saying, and even to like little luxuries, when we give pieces of our heart, it means that we're sharing something that's very precious and it can be broken. And it's hard to want to keep engaged and stay in any kind of relationship, even new relationships, when our hearts have been broken and damaged so many times in the past. And yet, what is it he said in the quote? Like, Okay, so the alternative is lock up your heart. Lock it up in the coffin or casket of your selfishness, which, ouch, like that's kind of a harsh way of saying it. But in some ways he's right. Like we do, sometimes it's for self-protection and preservation, and I understand those places. I've been in those places. But sometimes it's also, you know what, like no one gets to touch me anymore, and you're over there and I'm over here, and not sharing of ourselves in healthy ways with healthy boundaries. But not sharing of ourselves actually becomes selfishness. And in the quote, he's saying, you know, that's where our hearts locked up become impenetrable and unbroken and unable to be touched and unable to be damaged, but also unable to be used in great ways and have that life and that hope. And it becomes different. And all of a sudden, this beautiful thing called our hearts and the love that we have in them, it becomes hard, it becomes bitter, it almost becomes hatred. Love is vulnerable. Sharing of our lives, even sharing of our emotions, sharing of our vulnerabilities, there's always going to be a risk. But the alternative is it changes us. Now, if you have become bitter, hardened, broken one too many times, I understand and I empathize with why you're doing it, because I've done it. But I'm calling you to come out and play a little bit, come out and share with someone, use a little bit of that vulnerability and talk about your story, talk about what's going on. It's hard. The thing is, if it's true that relationships broke us, wouldn't it also be true that relationships help to heal us? I think sometimes we just need somebody else to show us what life should have been like, which means then we go on this quest to go from people to people to people. And I think our hearts are actually looking for God. I really do. I think that we are looking for someone who's never going to fail us, and the only person that will never disappoint us is God, is Jesus. And even when we're in a relationship with him, sometimes his ways can be confusing. It can be hard to understand. But as we get to know him and his character, like, he is so faithful. And being vulnerable with him and sharing our hearts with him, understanding his love, can help soften our hearts. If you're wondering what that looks like, I want you to look at the video on following up from guilt and shame and see how he pursues us and how he's so kind to us even when we mess up. To love it all is vulnerable. And you might be tempted to think, no one will ever hurt me again. The truth is, they will. But what if we can get stronger than letting ourselves be defined by somebody else's poor choices against us? It's hard. My heart gets broken all the time. But what if there was a different way in which we could be defined by something so much more? Yes. Mourn. Grieve the wrong that people do against us. Learn how to protect ourselves. That's good. But what if what we're looking for isn't found in other people? What if the person who's never going to hurt us again is God instead of another person? It makes me wonder. If you're wondering what that looks like, let's go on a journey. Let's try to find that.